So this is my computer book collection. For the record, I do have books that are not about computers, but those ones do not get a special spot in my shop. In fact, they're not in the shop at all. But as you can see, I do have a lot from the upgrading and repairing PCs series. And as far as I know, I have all of them. You might notice that there is a gap in between the 6th edition and the 8th edition. However, I've determined that the 7th edition, for some reason, never seemed to make it outside of publishing, or perhaps was never even written for some reason. And the 10th anniversary edition, there's a sneaky secret here. This is actually the 9th edition, and it appears that no actual 10th edition was written, and instead they just jumped to 11th edition. Or if it was written, it was lost in publishing as the other one was. But a lot of these had the ability to come with a CD. Not all of them that I have actually arrived with a CD, but I purchased this one at a thrift store, and this one too, and I got those at least 2 or 3, probably 3 years ago each. And then I suddenly decided, what if I got all the other editions? And I looked it up on eBay and was surprised to see that the most of them were about $5 or so. And that's about an average. There were some that were in the $2 range. But this is the very first book in the series. I believe it's from 1988. Yep. And here's the last book in the series. This is the 22nd edition. This is from 2015. And this was actually printed this year, which makes it really strange. Yeah, you can see that this is the 6th printing, and it was printed this year. It's really strange because, it's a 5-year-old book. And also I bought it used, which really adds to the complexity, but it looks like it might as well be new, but it was actually printed this year. I will say one thing about buying books on eBay. The packaging that a lot of the sellers use is subpar, but amazingly, only one of the packages of these books that I ordered got lost in the mail, and probably because it broke open or something, because a lot of the sellers, I bought a lot from the same seller actually, but a lot of the items came in either just cardboard covered with, I think, wax, which is really weird, and I've never seen something like that before, or it came in just, almost a shopping bag kind of bag. I guess a little thicker than that. But, not very great. But thankfully, the one that I did get lost in the mail, or rather that was lost in the mail, just so happened to have all 3 books that were in that package still available for sale. And as you can see, I do have a few odd ones here. We've got the Linux edition, which is fairly out of date. But, perhaps I will get into looking at old Linux, although that sounds painful. And then the 2 laptop editions. I've yet to go into the upgrading, repairing servers series. I think there's either just 1 or 2 of those, so it might not even be a series, because for some reason they're all like $30. And then I have the single upgrading and repairing Macs book, which if we look at it, we'll notice that it's not actually written by Scott Muller at all. It doesn't say here, but I think it says on the inside. Yeah. And apologies for the lens cap and whatnot being in the shot. But, yeah, Scott Muller does not make a presence in that book, although he's been at least the chief writer for basically all the other books. And besides those 2, or those few, there is I don't know if I mentioned it, but there's the Upgrading Repairing Networks series, which seems fairly large, but probably not as big as the PC series. Undecided whether I'll try to buy up those or not. I mean, networking is not exactly my cup of tea, though I certainly do enough of it. And then, of course, some other odd ones out. We got a quick reference, second edition and first edition, which are extremely handy. I guess I can show you a bit of what's inside. Like all sorts of pinouts and values and just anything you could possibly think of needing to know quickly while you're working on a system. A contemporary system anyway, because this is 1994. I think the second edition is 1998 or somewhere around there. We'll find out. Now my camera work is just very excellent in this, I know. No need to thank me or anything like that. Yeah, 1998. I do plan on doing a complete read-over of everything in the series. Oh yeah, then there's the field guide and the technician's portable reference, which I believe, well, I guess their names are kind of self-explanatory. These are more charts and whatnot, and then the field guide and the portable reference kind of at least have little tidbits on what stuff is. And I guess I'll show you what happens to be in one of these books. Since I think maybe starting with it no later than the 5th edition, they started coming with optical media. So if you buy yours used, it might not have it. And sellers, let me tell you, books will be listed as having the CD, but that doesn't mean anything. Likewise for the other way around. I've had some books listed as having CDs come without them, and vice versa. But even the most modern of the books, though I haven't completely read most of them yet, they do keep around some legacy features, like, the older chipsets and whatnot. So if you buy one of the books, you'll get a wide range, like, of at least several years into the past, up to whenever the book was published. But even this still has pretty much all the pinouts and stuff. It's just the quick reference books are condensed to basically only have pinouts and whatnot. But they cover a lot of stuff, so I mean, if you are looking for a good book series for stuff, I guess, pre-2015 about computers, this might be the one for you. And I sincerely doubt that I've bought up all of these books. I may have made your journey of collecting them all, if you choose to accept that mission. I may have made it slightly more difficult. But a lot of the websites for these eBay sellers, like the big book sellers, they tell you actually like how many of these books that they get in per year on average. So it does make it a little easier. And then hiding in the corner over here, basically to prevent these books from flopping over as they are, because the early ones at least seem more likely to be paperback. Though I didn't give much preference as to what I bought. But over here, we have this book, which actually I believe was bought new at a store when my parents were getting into computers, because they were given some old computer that I wish I had kept around, and I did actually have the decision to, but that went out to the road, and I regret that decision all the time, basically. And then this I bought at the thrift store. But yeah, that computer that I mentioned, I don't know what it was. It was probably a 386 or maybe even slightly older. But it sat around for a while, and I was asked if I wanted it, I think. And this was several years ago now. And for some reason I said no. And then up here we do have, these are actually kind of more like manuals, but most interestingly out of that is I have a sealed, I believe Windows 3.1 manual, although I wasn't exactly sure. And then we've got a rather large manual for Windows for Workgroups and MS-DOS. And Print Master Gold, which sadly I don't even have the CD for anymore. And Illustrator 9. I have this CD. I've literally never been able to get the software to work on any computer I've tried. Fails in some spectacular way every time. And then I do have a Windows 95 Bible, which there was a whole series of these by Alan Simpson, which maybe I'll get into looking for. I was told on the listing that this one came with CD, and I suppose they're technically correct. That is actually the right CD too, it's just only like 25% of it or so. But these are kind of more of an introductory look at Windows and whatnot, which is basically stated right on the front about, like, you know, just master the latest changes in Windows 95. It's not in depth. And I don't do much in web design, but I saw these two books here at the thrift store actually just a couple weeks ago, and I couldn't pass them up. I mean, I actually might go into looking to do that. I'll probably never use the information in this, but I'm sure that won't stop me from reading it. And then, if you've watched my very first video, at least the very first public one, you have seen this book before. And I do have Windows 98 step by step, and I didn't look too closely, I guess, because I thought that this was Windows 95 step by step, but it's just upgrading to Windows 95 step by step. And Visual Basic 5 and 6. It'd probably make more sense to move this over one. I don't claim to have much organization when it comes to these books, but I like to have at least some. And this is more of a textbook than anything, but it was enjoyable to read. Alright, let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Well, I guess we'll do this one, because not only do I know it has the disc, but what I will be testing it on is a laptop, so that only makes sense. But yes, as mentioned, most of these have CDs, but only to a point, and then they start being DVDs, which include, at least early on, I have not yet investigated with the other ones, but early on, they actually were containing pure DVD video for playing on either a computer or set-top box, and then software and, you know, catalogs and whatever. But this one appears to still have the original seal on the CD. So if I can manage to keep this page down, which might be an interesting experience, I'll attempt to pull this on video. However, okay, there we go. Oh, come on. Please hold. Yes, I did it. Not on camera, though. If you do look at this stuff for more than multiple seconds, you will eventually realize that, I don't know if it's mentioned in this book, and it may actually be before this event, but you will notice that the series became consumed by Pearson, and that happened a while before its death, but I'm not sure if that's entirely unrelated to its death, because you will notice that the numbers published on the book as to how many have sold do seem to drop off rather quickly after Pearson buys it. I don't know if that's because they just stopped measuring or what, but you can see here the 14th edition is the first to reach 2.2 million, at least as published, and then that continues on until they stop publishing that number in the 19th edition, at least stop putting it out in the open. That would be kind of a sad commentary if they actually struggled to sell any books at all after, what did I say, the 14th edition? But anyway, that was a huge tangent, and let's not scratch the CD up terribly and put it in the drive and see what it happens to do when we put it in this laptop. And this does cover a lot of stuff as to what's in it. And most of these, if not all of them, you do get basically other copies of the Upgrading and Repairing PCs series. Of course, this thing's CD drive is being stupid, so I'll have to deal with that. But, you know, you do get your money's worth for $50 or so. Well, the prices vary wildly depending on what country you're in, and they vary wildly between editions, and I'm not even sure that makes any sense compared to what their currencies were going for at the time. But you know, it's like $76 in Canadian, and then 50 in American, and this actually makes sense as I understand it. I can't say, this might be a bit before me, but I can't say I ever remember the exchange rate being so sad. But yes, so as you can see, this thing is enjoying itself. If anyone knows anything about these drives in the Compact Presario 1260 and probably other members of this series, I believe it's a Fujitsu drive. I would like to know why it's so terrible. But basically it just refuses to retrieve focus lock. It's usually possible by moving the thing around and sometimes jiggling the lens to eventually get it happy. But as you can see, I'm not there yet. I don't believe it worked. We don't need two of these though. Oh yes, I remember this from the main series, this really weird menu thing. Alright, so this includes, as you can see, the network series was already at 4th, and it continued on for a long time, and it might even still exist to this day, I'm not sure. But yeah, there's a lot of books in the network series. I don't even know if having older versions of the networking books would even be useful for anything, because probably whatever new was added was probably not enough to warrant removing the old stuff, but who knows. 60 minutes of video on here, vendor database, web links, who knows how many of those are still valid, and information on the ultimate companion to this book. Well, that's sufficiently vague. But yes, you find the entire edition of Upgrading and Repairing PC's 14th edition. That's probably what was current at the time, but I'm not actually sure. So, I guess we'll see what this does. Acrobat Reader, Windows Media Player. That's weird that they touted QuickTime on the outside of it, but they want to give you a Media Player. And then WinZip. And that's weird that Windows Media Player is actually a download. But I guess Microsoft didn't exactly like handing out distribution rights willy-nilly for a lot of things. Well, let's see here. I suppose we could attempt to play a video, whether or not this thing is oh yeah, well, no, I don't want to. That sounds very small. As you can see, this is not in very high quality, but it's watchable.
Market research, in fact, now indicates that laptops are the most popular kind of computer sold, even more than desktop systems. They're widely used by corporate America, from business executives all the way down to students and people who want simply a more portable computer, something that doesn't take up a lot of space.
Yep, that's more true than ever today. But yeah, once I get reading this series, I'll probably wind up watching all the material and doing whatever as I go through each book. Um, but there's also I believe just one book. Oh yeah, and then part of that book. But yeah, so I believe this was sufficiently into the Windows XP era, and yeah, it would appear like it. Oh, how could I even manage to forget this? But this is kind of an off-topic thing. But this is one other computer book that I have, and as far as I know, the only one that I have yet to show you. This is the desktop edition of the Windows XP Bible by Alan Simpson. Once again, like the Windows 95 Bible, very introductory, but still almost fun to read, and as you can see, that is what I'm doing. Okay, so I don't actually know if I have Acrobat Reader installed on this. I feel like the answer is no. Yep, and so we won't be opening that today, but here, I'll show you the Upgrading and Repairing PCs 14th edition if it makes you a little bit happier. This one actually came with a DVD. And of course there's a cat outside. This cat loves to make his appearance in most every video, as of recent it would seem. I'm sure he will meow like there's no tomorrow, or something like that. And the vendor database. Of course, I'm sitting on the chair that he likes to sleep on when he comes in here, so he'll probably meow even more than that. Unless he's gonna like the other chair over there. Who knows? Okay, well, this is sufficiently weird. Oh, it's loading. Okay. Shush. Yes, he's very vocal sometimes. Ow! That's my leg. Okay, well, hope you like the sounds of cat purring. But yeah, it carries a lot of vendors, and there's even a search box, and basically all the contact information, which, given how old this book is probably all irrelevant, but, you know, it might be cool to look through. And what else we got? We got the web resources. Which, yep. Oh, Gibson Resource Corporation. That link will still work. But I don't have internet going to this. But it's touting the Shields Up thing. Which I think is actually still... I think I've actually used that recently. DSL reports, they still exist. They don't exactly do that anymore, but they're kind of like an ISP reporting thing in terms of quality of service. And let's see, we got the Ultimate Companion, and the cat's trying to fall off my lap or something. Okay, apparently it's just touting the website. That's kind of overhyped, but I guess that's the point. Oh yes, I'm sure that pinstripe background is giving some of you a headache, so I won't point the camera at it too long. But yes, that is a quick look, although it still probably wound up being like 25 minutes or something absurd for looking at books. Thank you for watching, and if you have specific questions about any of these, or just want to leave a comment or whatever, please do so. And of the ones that I have the optical media for, I may try to put them on the Internet Archive. I'm pretty sure that would have to be as some kind of library thing. But I'll have to see. And as although I'm not sure if the library thing applies to things that aren't books, but I'll try to let you know if I put these optical media things in the books onto the Internet Archive, and I'll leave a note in the description. Although, fair warning, it probably will not be any time immediately soon, but I do plan to do it. And the same thing with these books. I mean, this one has a DVD logo on it, but I don't know if it actually did come with. Oh, it is in there. Okay, and I'm flopping that around. But yeah, all the, as far as I know, all the Microsoft Press books came with a CD or a floppy or something. But yes, thank you for watching, and have a nice day, or night, or whatever.